Good afternoon, everybody. My name is James Horn. I'm the Commercial Director at JobReady. Thanks for joining us this Friday for episode 4 of our remote control series. For those of you who missed the first 3, we're going to send the link out to our remote control page where the other sessions have been recorded and are now available for you guys to consume when you've got some time. And we will also be recording today's session. We'll upload that there as well so that you guys can circulate that within your organizations to anyone who wasn't able to make today. We've got a wonderful range of attendees actually today, made up mostly of our existing Plus customers, but there are some of you who are new to our community and you'll be seeing Plus for the first time. So we will try and make sure that we cover off in detail for everyone who's experiencing Plus in those sort of different contexts. So today is covering off 2 really important areas for Plus, which is online applications and enrolments and online payments. These are topics that are obviously extremely critical and no more so than because of the environment that we're all in right now. And part of the reason for us launching our remote control series was to start to bring to light some more of the digital capability and online capability that Plus has. And today, those 2 pieces, online enrolments and online payments, are what we're going to steer you through. We are really hoping that off the back of today's session, you'll be armed with the tools to look at bringing this to life inside your organizations. But it's really important that you know and understand that we're here to support you through the next couple of weeks and months as all of you try and change the way that your businesses potentially run and utilize the platform in potentially a different way, a more fulsome way. So we'll have people available after the session and into next week through the customer success team and the account management team. So please feel free to reach out to us either via Zendesk, via chat, or through your account manager. And finally, at the end of today's session, we'll be circulating a feedback form, a survey that we'd really encourage you guys to give us feedback on today's session and also any other sessions that you think would be useful for us to cover off over the next weeks and months as we expand on the remote control series. Okay, so joining me today in a far more important role is Pete. Hi, Pete.
Hi, James. Hi, everyone.
Pete is going to be steering us through the product today. In the meantime, I will be still online and available for any questions that come up whilst Pete is showcasing some of the functionality. So feel free to throw some questions in the chat. And yeah, I will now hand over to Pete.
Cool. Thanks, James. Hi, guys. So firstly, thanks for joining today's session. In this session, we're going to walk you through 2 very specific scenarios. Before I get to those scenarios, it's important to note that as a precursor to this particular session, there is some really handy content available in-app via Help and Discover. So within Discover, what you'll find is some clinic videos which help you understand how to create and use course forms, set up your Kanban for success, and also utilize tags and properties and feedback forms, which we'll probably cover in a future remote control session. On top of that, last week's session was really geared towards setting up for this session. So if you missed that, we will be distributing that, as James said, sometime next week. Now, in today's session, I'm going to cover, this is the agenda. I'm going to cover payment gateways, course forms, course fees and payment options, a couple of different scenarios, which I'll walk you through shortly, the student portal, Payments and Receipts, and also Finance Hub. Now, obviously, by the end of today's session, you should have a better understanding of what all of these items do, and I'll talk you through those as I get to them. Now, the first scenario I'm going to talk you through is a straightforward enrolment with a one-off upfront payment. This scenario is perfect for short courses such as First Aid or RSA, or where you deliver online learning via an integrated LMS such as Canvas or Cloud Assess. So in this instance, we might be looking at a direct enrolment into the system. The second, an application where a smaller application or administration fee is charged up front via the course forms, followed by the remainder of the tuition fee via the student portal once the enrolment has been confirmed. This option would likely be used for full qualifications or larger pieces of learning where the student wouldn't be expected necessarily to pay their full tuition fees up front. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm not showing you JR Plus just yet. Well, this is, I suppose, how we expect you to embed JR Plus forms into your processes. So what you'll find there is when I click an apply button or an enroll button on our website, which was beautifully created by our digital marketing specialist, Nick, you'll see that it actually redirects us to our online forms. Now, what you can also do through the forms is take payments. And essentially what we're looking to do is take away that, that data entry element and receive an application or an enrollment straight into your JR Plus system. Now, before I get into the config, it's important to note that there is a bit of crossover with regards to the setup. So let's get those items out of the way first. Let's start with payment gateways. Now, payment gateways essentially allow you to take online payment for the services that you offer, helping to reduce touch points and further streamline your online enrollment and invoicing processes. There are specialist providers such as PayPal, Stripe, or eWay, and there are also solutions from the big banks such as ANZ, CBA, Westpac, and St. George. Now, payment gateways are configured via administration, configuration, preferences, and payment gateways from the left menu. As you can see here, I have Stripe and PayPal currently enabled, but there are many others to choose from simply by clicking the Add button. All you guys need to worry about is selecting the right fit for your organization, registering with them as a business customer, and then contacting us to help with the technical setup and configuration in Plus. You can also set your preferred student portal gateway provider via self-service portals on the left-hand menu and clicking Edit. Scrolling down to Finance and selecting the default payment gateway. Easy. Once your payment gateways are configured, they can then be allocated to your course forms. To do this, simply navigate to the course form you'll be using when taking payments. So we just navigate there via administration forms and course forms. And click into the form of choice. And we can click edit and we can apply the payment gateway to the form that we're going to be using. You'll need to repeat this for all the forms that you're intending to use. And it's important at this level to set whether or not you wish to use auto confirmation of enrollments. Remember, auto confirm is great for shorter courses or automated online delivery. You can also set the default application status as well. If you need to vet your applications before you finalize a student's enrollment, leave that box unchecked. Once you've saved those changes, you'll notice that the web form provides you with a new payment page. So if we just click into the web form edit, you'll see that our questions remain as they were from last week's session. But if we click into payment, there's a new page here which allows you to stipulate the terms and conditions of the payment. Easy. Now, it is possible to link multiple courses to one form. But in this demo, what I'm after is a unique URL for each specific scenario on our website. So first, I need to search for my courses, which I've got here. If I click into this first course, I can add the form to the course via admin application forms. By clicking create form, it allows me to search for an existing form template. We obviously want it to be enabled. If you wish for your students to be able to save their progress, receive an email with a continuation link, you can also allow it to be saved. And you can also choose to require a mobile number for them to be able to save that. Now, it's important here to set a unique URL specific to this particular course. And what we've then done is made that URL available to our web developer, who would then embed it in our website. So when I click on enroll, it takes us directly to that form that we've linked. Now, before we go through the process of enrolling via the forms, there's something else that needs to be configured. And those are payment options. Payment options are configured against the left menu within a course. So we'll take a look at scenario 1, which is where we are going to auto-confirm our enrolments. From the left menu within the course, we're going to click on Finance and Payment Options. You can always click New to create a new payment option, or you can edit a pre-existing payment option to allow it to be used via the course forms. For a full upfront payment, available on course application forms must be checked. This allows the payment option to be displayed in the checkout when the student is applying or enrolling for a course. If you're feeling nice, or generous, I should say, you can allow your students to apply discount codes by enabling them and making them available on the course application forms. When allowing discount codes, they can be applied per line item. So whilst you may allow discount on tuition fees, it's quite possible that you won't allow discounts on things like materials. It's also important to note that you can add as many line items to a payment option as you require. The final very important setting on the payment option is the trigger, which is this. In order to utilize the payment option via the payment gateway on course forms, we need to create an immediate invoice to the student on enrollment creation. And that needs to be set against all the line items within the payment option. Once you've set your amounts and your triggers, just click update or save, and that will commit the payment option to the course. So back to our website, where your prospective students would click enroll. I'm actually going to use Nick as the example here, our trusty digital marketing specialist. And you'll have to bear with me while I enter some details here, but I wanted to give you a proper example of how this works. So for those of you who missed last week's session on course forms and taking online applications, you can see here the different types of fields that you can actually include in a form. I wanted to give you a bit of an understanding of what could be done. But we've also got the ability to take digital signatures and click next. And what you'll find here is the fees that are applicable for this particular course. And when we click the drop down, it even shows the individual line items as we had set up against the payment option. As mentioned earlier, you can allow students to apply discount codes if they have been configured. And you'll see that it has only taken that discount from that tuition fee line item. Now, when we click on Pay Now, we will be redirected to our payment gateway, which is PayPal. Now, in this instance, I'm not going to use my actual account because I don't want to get charged. So what I do have are some test credit card details. So, I mean, don't try using these at home, I suppose. And once we go through the process of confirming the payment, now, don't forget that's actually running through the process of confirming the payment through PayPal and also enrolling the student within JR Plus. So be mindful that it might take a few seconds. But once that's done, the student or the applicant will be redirected to their confirmation page. And if we jump into the system and search for Nick, or alternatively, you'll see that we have a notification there that we've received an application from Nick. We can see that he's automatically enrolled into the Job Ready Plus GRIMS course. If we have a look at the finance, you'll see firstly that there's a $0 outstanding balance. And that is because this invoice has a $0 outstanding balance. We've also marked a payment against the record as well. And all the financials are there for you to see. So I hope that was clear enough. Now I'm going to go on to scenario 2. So just bear with me one moment. Okay, so scenario 2 is where we'll configure our payment option to charge an administration fee upfront, followed by the remainder of the course fee on confirmation of enrollment. Now for that, I'm going to jump into a different course. Again, via finance and payment options on the left-hand menu, you'll see that I have already configured an application fee, which I've deemed to be refundable. And that has been set up in the exact same way that I had configured the original payment option for the direct enrollment course. So it's an immediate invoice to the student on enrollment creation, available on course application forms. Now, for the second option, if we click New, we're going to give this a name, and this will just be the enrollment fee. And just bear with me one second. So you can apply ledger codes, and these are derived via your reference data. So if you need help setting those up, please feel free to make contact with us. It's an $800 fee here, and we're going to set that as immediate to the student on enrollment creation. The next item will be the tuition fees, the material fees. And to account for the $100 application fee that we've set, we're going to reduce that. Now, you could obviously do that in whichever order that you wish. So it could be that the tuition fees are $700 to account for the $100 application fee. And again, on enrollment creation. Now, the important thing to note in this instance is that we're not making it available on course application forms. Okay, so this is going to be a payment option which you apply to an enrollment as you confirm that application as a student enrollment. Okay, so just double checking, immediate to student, 0 days on enrollment creation, $700, $200, combined with that application fee, adds up to the $1,000 that we've got set up. Okay, so let's walk through that from a student perspective. So jumping back to our landing page on our website, if I now click on apply and go through this process here, this time I'm going to use Eleni. And once I click on next, I'm taken to the payment page. Now you'll see here that what I've included is a little bit of information on the fact that we're only charging $100 up front and then the remaining $900 once their enrollment has been successfully confirmed. So if we click on pay now, and I'm sorry that I have to go through this process again, but it shouldn't take too long. I really want to give you guys a feel for how this will actually work for your students and also for your admin team. Okay, so we click continue, confirm the address to be used. That payment will be processed. So for the $100 in this instance. And the important thing to note with this particular process is the fact that I had configured the course form to not auto confirm enrollments. So that auto confirmation checkbox at the course form level was not checked. So what we'll have in this instance is if we jump into courses and applications, alternatively, you'll see the notification bell will show that there is a new application for Eleni. As opposed to Nick's enrollment, which is automatically enrolled, Eleni's comes in as an application. Now, what we'll see is if we click on Eleni's application form, we can see a list of all the responses. If we click into Eleni's profile, we will see that there is an outstanding, a $0 outstanding balance. The invoice and the payments will also be generated. And we can go through the enrollment process. Now, obviously, some of you may have some entry requirements that need to be checked off, but in this instance, we're just going to skip over those and go straight into the enrollment. This is all fairly straightforward, and I'm sure that you're all quite familiar with it. So we'll just skip through all the way to the payment section. Now, we're not going to add the application fee because that's obviously already been paid. What we're after here is the enrollment fee. And you can see there, it's the $900 to account for the $100. What we're going to do now is confirm and create. With that done, you'll see on the left menu, there's an outstanding balance of $900, sorry. So if we jump into finance and invoices, we can see there that there's a separate invoice there for the full amount of the course cost to be paid. What's more, a PDF document will also be generated with a copy of that invoice too. And if I just open that up, you'll see what that looks like there. Obviously, your templates might differ. but it's a really handy tool to get in the habit of having those templates in JR Plus so that you can easily create them and send them out. Now, at this stage, it might be a case where you might compose an email and send a copy of that invoice to the student. So again, having an invoice template, email template would be super handy. Alternatively, you might have an automation associated with an enrollment creation, which would automatically send student portal details to the student. So what I'm going to show you now is how the student can actually pay that invoice via the student portal. Now, if I just copy Eleni's login details, I think I can remember her email, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now, I'm going to open up a guest window. It's important that if you're looking to test any of this functionality, you do need to do it in a separate window, otherwise it will recognize your login or your session. So really important to use a separate window or an incognito window. As always, the student on first login will always be asked to reset their password. And what you'll find here under financials is an outstanding balance of $900. So if I click into invoices, what I'll find is the original invoice, the application fee of $100 with a $0 outstanding balance. And on top of that, back on the dashboard or via the left menu, we've got a track record of all the payments that have been made. So how can the student pay that online? Well, you may have noticed that against the invoice on the right-hand side, we've got the Pay Now button. That's essentially the same process. It will open up your PayPal or your gateway of choice, and they would go through that exact same process of making that payment. Alrighty, so that's essentially how you can look to embed your forms into your website, utilizing the unique URLs, or ultimately, if you're linking multiple courses to an individual course form, that can also be done. We've also gone through taking payments online through the course forms and also through the student portal. And I know that we're now hitting 12:32, but I just wanted to quickly run you through two additional functions. Those being Documents and also Finance Hub. So Documents is available via Communications and Documents. And it's actually a really handy tool for communicating any newly created invoices or potentially any newly created payment receipts to users, to your students. So what we can do here is we can apply filters. I've got a couple of saved filters already. So let's say we want to send out any invoices that have not yet been sent. You can see there that we can quite easily select that found set, and we can email in bulk. What's more, if it's payment receipts, we can do the same thing. The other item I want to step you through just very quickly is Finance Hub. So Finance Hub is available via the top menu, via Sales and Finance Hub. Alternatively, on the dashboard, you may also have your dashboard widget configured to show. So if we jump to Finance Hub and click on Invoices and click Search, this is going to show us a list of all of the outstanding invoices within JR Plus. So any invoice at all, whether it's been invoiced to a student or to an employer, company, organization that you deal with, you can also apply some quick filters, say 30 days outstanding, 60 days, 90 days outstanding, and you can also run some bulk actions such as email warnings or reminders. What's more, you can also track all payments through Finance Hub as well. And it's a really easy tool to be able to track all of your financials. Alrighty, there was a lot to take in there, a few minutes over time, but I'll now open the floor to some Q&A. So please shoot through any questions that you might have. I did notice while I was working through that some questions came through and James had responded to those, so that's great. Erin, you asked where do you set up the payment option? So yep, we went through that. That was just on the left-hand menu within the course, and I think that's all good. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Don't be shy, guys. Opportunity. That's a good question, Rachel. Pete, you want to talk about how you sell resources or allocate resources?
Yeah, so if you are looking to sell additional items, you can actually create payment options against the course. Just bear with me one tick. So everyone can still see my screen, yeah?
Yep, all good.
So from within the course, under finance and payment options, it's really important to note that that when you're setting up something that needs to be paid for, you would set that up as an option. And if you had additional items that a student may or may not need to select or pay for, what you can do is you can set that up as an addition. And that will actually show as an additional item that they can select if they so wish. Another question there is, can you use a straight credit card option in lieu of PayPal? James, do you want to answer that one?
I can, yeah. So there's a number of payment options that we make available. Just to be clear, Job Ready Plus, we're not PCI compliant, so we deliberately stay away from holding any credit card data. So we actually need to link those sorts of processing methodologies to a payment gateway. So we support actually excellent timing, Pete. These are most of the payment gateways that we support in Plus, and there are a couple that actually aren't on that screen. So we can work with you to work out which payment gateway you guys use so that we can plug that in, and then it's up to that payment gateway if it can actually support credit card processing. But typically that's possible.
Great. We've got another question here. I'm not sure if it's Farina or Diogo, the first name, but there's a question there. Hi Farina. So what if a course is free? Do you still set up course fee as $0, or can you skip this as part of the application and enrollment process? So really good question. If there is no payment option set against a course, then the payment gateway won't actually display on that final page within the course form. You also have the other option, which is to not even set a payment gateway against your form in the first place. So if we jump into forms and course forms, the only way that a payment option will be displayed via the application process is if a combination of all the items I've shown you today are met. So you'll see here that the first step is to have a payment gateway associated or assigned to the course form. The second item is, if we jump into one of the courses that we used as an example, is that the payment option is set as available on the course application form. So if either of those two items aren't met, or conditions aren't met, I should say, then the payment option won't be displayed on the course form, and the student will just be able to enroll without being redirected to the payment gateway.
Thanks, Pete.
Welcome. Any other questions, guys? Don't forget that we're actually going to be sending out a copy of this webinar sometime next week. So keep an eye out for that. But I think we'll wrap it up there. So thanks again for joining, everyone. We hope you got a lot from this session. As James mentioned, keep an eye out for upcoming remote control sessions, and also please let us know of any topics that you'd like us to cover in the future. Until the next one, from James and myself, peace.
Just one quick, sorry, Pete. Just one
Sorry,
quick,
James.
sorry, mate. I'm just going to put in the chat, guys, the link to the remote control page where you can actually see past recordings and where future recordings and future registrations will be available. So please jump on there, have a look. There's some really interesting stuff next week. We're running a panel with a couple of LMS platforms to help you guys understand what is the best online learning platform for your business. And then we're actually doing a really interesting interview on Thursday with Jason Ash from Mr. Wed on how to run an education institution completely remote. So jump on the link, have a look at that, register for next week, and we look forward to seeing you then. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.